go ahead and get into it. For those of you that don't plan on sticking around, God bless you, enjoy your day. But for those of you that just, you like to hear an encouraging word and it helps you out as much as it helps me to hear other people talk about it, then, stick around and let's see if we can, grow together. So basically, I'm a YouTube guy. I love to use YouTube. I've been using YouTube for the longest, and then even YouTube played an integral part in my own development and my faith. Like it was great to come on here and go seek out my pastors. Go seek out guys that really brought the word. I'm a big TD Jakes guy. Joel Osteen, Joyce Meyer. Like that's not all of them. I know those are the big ones that some people find issues with, but like they were like some of those words and some of those types of sermons, like they were big for me. But so anyway, so I'm doing what I usually do. I like to go to pages, and that's how I share my testimonies throughout the pages and stuff like that. And I came across this one video. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of Sadie Robertson or Robertson, something like that. And I came across her, and I'm like, oh, it's not, she's bringing the word, and it's awesome. It's awesome to see. She's got quite a little gathering, a little following of it. And as most of us do, I started going through the comments because that's where I like to go and begin to see if I can encourage someone to continue their walk with the faith. Just stick with it. And I click on this first comment that was mentioning youth, and youth is my thing. So I was like, oh yeah, for sure. Let me go ahead and see what I can go ahead and maybe if I can drop a word in for people. And instantly I step in there and I see this lady. She's going off. Like she's just going off on everybody. Like, how could you listen to Sadie Robertson? How could you do that? How could you, just you're just really attacking. And there are people responding to her. Like they're literally just. She's going back and forth with anyone. Like she's going toe to toe with anyone that will let her do it. And I began to just think about. I was like, man, like this just, she was being very condescending to people with her. Bringing the word, and I responded to her and I said, I admire your willingness to bring the word because that's encouraging. Having no shame in the gospel is a beautiful thing, but your approach is, for lack of a better way to say it, wrong. I began to point out examples in the Bible. I said Jesus, when he was facing the high priest at his sentencing, the sentencing where he knew he was going to die, he knew this was the most stressful situation. How much more of a stressful situation could you be in? He got smacked in the head by one of the guards, and he still showed compassion towards the guard. He asked the guard simply to explain himself. And there were other times I was like, when Jesus was hanging on the cross, when they just got done nailing him on the cross, and these soldiers are mocking him. They're mocking him as he's hanging there, dying, as he's hanging there. And all he does is he shows compassion and he prays. He asks for forgiveness for them. He prays for forgiveness for them. So it goes to show, having compassion and having that, I guess that mindset that you don't have to attack when you're bringing the word. Jesus already set the example for how we should bring the word. So just wanted to encourage everyone here that when you are bringing the word, make sure you're bringing the word by the example that Jesus has already set through compassion. Don't set your own example, because are you trying to prove your truth, or are you trying to prove the gospel truth? You got to ask yourself that question. And the second part that I wanted everybody to be able to take with them today is have discernment. Have discernment on when you should speak and when you shouldn't speak. There are going to be times that we're faced with a situation where it's like, man, you want to respond, you think you need to respond, but do you really need to? You gotta have that discernment of when it's time to speak or when it's time to pray. And I think that with a lot of people, they want to bring the word. You can be. It's a form of frustration. It's a form of frustration that they run into. That I think that lady is an example of someone that saw frustration, and she went and attacked everyone that she could, because it's like, how could you listen to Sadie Robertson? She's a false idol. She's not bringing the right word. She's not doing it the way that I understand it's done. That's really what she's saying. She's not doing gospel the way that I understand that it's done. So she really has to, I think she has to take that time to go and pray and to go and really adjust herself and to really just, you know, you got to find that compassion and that peace. You know what I mean? Proverbs 23:9 tells us, don't preach to the fool. Don't preach to the fool because they'll scorn your prudent words. Don't preach to the people. I mean, you have to have that at that moment's notice. You have to be able to be like, man, this person. You can tell when someone's not approaching something with an open mind and an open heart. And we know the effect, and we know the amount of change that can happen when someone approaches Jesus Christ with an open mind and an open heart. We know. So if you see someone that's not approaching it with open mind and open heart, I mean, just kind of bite your tongue and be done with it. And be done with it. And pray for them. Pray for them. The Lord says pray about everything, not just pray when we need something. Pray for those around us. Pray. And I know this video has gone longer than I wanted it to, but I mean, it's something that I see a lot. Be willing to bring the good word, but be willing to bring the good word with the example that Jesus has already set. You get what I'm saying? Be willing to bring the good word based on the example that Jesus has already set.